Hello, welcome to the daily tech digest for January 5th. So, to kickstart our list is the annual year in review, not year in review. This one is for databases from CMU. If you follow database internals, you know that these retrospective are gold. So, 2025 edition breaks down the massive shift that we've seen towards vector native architectures finally maturing and the consolidation of the stream processing engines. It's kind of dense read, but if you make infrastructure decisions this year, it's arguably required reading to understand where the market is actually heading versus where the marketing hype says it is. Um, yeah, and it's pretty cool. So for AI and vector databases, this is where it's at today. Next up, um, the editor wars are heating up again. So we've got detailed breakdown from a developer who officially made a jump from VS Code to Z. And the main driver is pure performance. So the post highlights how Z GPU accelerated rendering makes handling massive code bases feel instantaneous compared to Electron-based editors. However, it's not all sunshine. They know that the plugin ecosystem, of course, still is playing catch up. Um, and if you've been feeling input lag in VS Code lately, this might nudge you to try something new. People who are coming from Sublime may remember how that was like long time ago. Um, Speaking of performance, so the engineering team at Brave just dropped fascinating technical deep dive. They overhauled their Rust-based ad-block engine using flat buffers, and the results are pretty wild. It's a 75% reduction in memory usage. And by moving to zero copy deserialization format, they managed to significantly cut down the overhead of loading filter lists. For anyone working with Rust or systems optimization, that's a great case study on how data structure choices directly impact resource constraints. So zero copy is interesting because it basically just load the file and then you say, hey, here's the structure. So you don't do anything else to it. So Rust has capabilities to do this safely for you. Okay. Switching a little bit to security, in the security world, the unlikely hero has emerged for PS5 researchers. An obscure Star Wars game. It turns out this specific title contains vulnerability that acts as an entry point for a new user-land exploit. This is huge for homebrew and preservation communities. It potentially opens the door for running unsigned code on updated firmware. It's a classic reminder that no matter how secure the hardware is, the software layer, even a random game disk, can always introduce a weak link. Kind of reminds me of how PSP was originally hacked. Um, More on security news. So this is sobering update on the LastPass breach from back in 2022. So blockchain investigation firm TRM Labs traced a fresh wave of cryptocurrency thefts directly back to that incident. It seems that attackers are still cracking stolen vaults years later and draining wallets the moment they get access. This serves as a critical operational security reason lesson. If your vault data is exfiltrated, just changing master password is not enough. You need to rotate each and every single secret that's stored there. So the blast radius of that breach is still expanding. All right. So sticking with security, um, this is a new warning for anyone using AI-assisted forks of VS Code. Researchers found that several of these popular IDE forks were automatically processing recommended extensions files from repositories without enough validation. This is this big blue button at VS Code shows that says, "Do you want to trust this repo?" And then it does the same for extensions, I think. So this means in this case that malicious repo could trick your ID into installing compromised extension just by opening that folder. It's a subtle supply chain attack vector. So if you're using specialized AI editor based on VS Code, make sure you're at the latest patch level. Okay. Um, moving on to infrastructure a little bit. So we have technical analysis of the recent connectivity issues in Venezuela. So this is radar data. This analyzing radar data from Cloudflare, I think. Yep. And so there were anomalies in BGP protocol coinciding with the power blackouts that they got. So this wasn't just a power loss. So the routing tables themselves showed irregular withdrawals and announcements. And for network engineers, this is fascinating to see how physical infrastructure failures propagate up to the routing layer and how difficult it is to maintain BGP convergence when the underlying grid is unstable. But really, if you look at the debate there, we don't know if this was automated or manual configuration changes. But in general, um, backbone of the internet is designed to handle this, but there's also people, and how quickly it actually reacts is important. Okay, so switching over to a little bit of different networking aspect. If you run tail-scale network, or so-called tailnet, you might want to check out this new open source tool called Tailsnitch. It's a security auditor designed specifically for tail-scale configurations. It scans your ACLs and highlights potential misconfigurations like permissive log tagging or exposed routes. And as those overlay networks become standard for corporate VPNs, tooling like this is essential to ensure that you haven't accidentally left the backdoor open while trying to make things convenient for your devs. Um, People in the comments they talk about how it would be nice to actually include this in your CI pipeline, so the pull request gets rejected if your configuration is bad. But TBD. Switching over to hardware news a little bit. Um, so Donut Lab introduced a new solid state battery achieving energy density of 400 watt hours per kilo. So to put it in perspective, the current commercial batteries are about 250 to 270. So if this scales out of the lab, it's a big if again. We're talking about massively for all kinds of devices like mobile devices, drones, and the range for EVs. Solid state here implies it's more safe regarding fire, but as always in battery tech, mass manufacturing is a real hurdle. But the numbers here look promising. Um, Finally, um, for Android users, drowning in pings and notifications is a new tool called Do Not Notify. So unlike standard Do Not Disturb mode, this app logs incoming notifications and then locally processes them to intelligently block spam while letting important stuff through. So it's a great example of using on-device logic to solve the hostility of some of those apps. So if you're tired of your phone buzzing because the food delivery app wants to tell you about 5% discount, this might be worth a side load. This is pretty cool, I think. That's it for today. See you tomorrow.